So that's enough of the problem for the time being. Let's kind of look a little bit at the solution. So what are some of our options? That was the kind of big picture about the economy. That was about our organisations and what we're seeing. Now, what are potential kind of issues? I'm going to try and go through some kind of logic trail here. 4 options, really. The first one we see, I'm going to call hope a miracle occurs. And that really is that we announce the change and then we just hope somehow something happens that means it gets executed. We don't see too much of that. It may be because of the people we get to talk to. Probably saw a lot of it years ago. But I think most people believe that they have to do something. I do run occasionally into senior executives who tell me that their people are so smart that they don't really need a change program. They will just see the change and know what to do. But I must admit that's on the decrease over the last 15 years or so. So the other 3 options are kind of more real. The next one is make do with what you have. What we really mean by that is quite often organisations will say things like, and consulting firms will say things like, you know, look, our people have done a lot of change. We've got a lot of tools that they can use. They need to use what they're happy with and what they can make use of. And so we're kind of just going to get people, they have to have a change plan, but we're going to just kind of let them do what they want. And so we might have a different approach in sales to marketing. We might have a different approach in the UK to the US. We might have a different approach in this subsidiary to that subsidiary. But kind of it's going to work. And instantly we don't have any money to invest in kind of upgrading that capability. So we're going to kind of just let people get on with it. Option 2, we're going to kind of import people really like consultants and interim managers to try and fill a gap here. And these people are going to come in, they're going to have a lot of expertise and they're going to show us what to do. And then option 4 really, or approach 4, is we really need to set out to build our own OCM capabilities. And I guess that's where we probably have the most discussions. Although it's very interesting, I think, out there now, what we're seeing often is a kind of hybrid, though, between 3 and 4. That often organisations are saying we want to begin to build our own OCM capabilities, but because we're so short of people, we kind of need to mix that with bringing some people in from the outside. So in 2 or 3 clients, we have found ourselves not only helping the internal people build their capabilities, but aligning the external people to that internal way of working. If you wanted to kind of make a good, the best choice of all those, you would kind of build your own capability. This is a survey we did a couple of years ago that showed pretty much that internal teams with full-time members are the most effective way to implement change. We've done this survey 2 or 3 times over the year. It more or less comes back with the same results. And if you look at the 2 bars on the left, the internal team with full-time members and the internal team with part-time members overwhelmingly seem to be the opinion of the survey participants, seem the best way to implement change. So it seems to be a good business decision to try and implement your own, even if you have to supplement that with external resources. And I have personally seen this survey replicated, these kind of questions replicated many times in many surveys. It more or less always comes out with the same kind of answer. So if you're going to build your own OCM capabilities, what are some of your choices? I guess the choices are a bit like having a suit made. That's why the picture's there, really. There's 3 ways you can buy a suit. You can have a suit made from scratch. You go into the tailor, they measure you, they make a pattern. In Britain, we call that a bespoke suit. You can buy a suit kind of off the peg, but you have it altered, maybe substantially or a little bit, but it's basically the suit that you see on the hanger. Or you can just simply buy a suit off the peg. I have a leg length, I have an inside leg this long, I have a suit jacket length this long, it fits me and I kind of take it away. So that's the same in terms of building capabilities. You can do it yourself. We've seen a number of clients or organizations build their own change methodology. It can have certain advantages. You get ownership. You can often get something that fits your culture. I will come back to culture later on. It can have its disadvantages. It's much more expensive than people assume. because it takes the time often with a team of people to do it. There's a lot of trial and error. Also, interesting, in a client recently, we saw one where they had previously built an internal methodology, but in the the old saying that you're never a prophet in your own land, what had happened was that they had built this change process, but actually no one took it up because they didn't believe it was valuable because it had been built by this particular group of people. And it kind of sat there for a year, 18 months before people actually realized it wasn't being used on big change projects. You could buy a methodology off the shelf. It's kind of what we would offer you if you just wanted our methodology as is. And there are a number of providers like us around the world who have a methodology. It's been researched. It can be very quick to take up. You could literally be sort of training people within a couple of weeks, and people could be using it perhaps within a month. The disadvantages are sometimes people don't feel a strong sense of ownership to it. So there's kind of pros and cons of that. The last one, which probably is very desirable, is that rather than starting from scratch, you take an existing methodology and you customize it to kind of fit your own requirements and culture. So there's kind of three ways of thinking about capability building.